How's it going, everybody? Welcome to TrendSpider Live. My name is Mike, and today we are joined by a very special guest, Alex Cole, who is the co-founder of the GoNoGo Charts, namely the indicator I have right here on my chart. So, Alex, if you want, go ahead and give yourself a quick introduction, give a little bit about your background.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks so much for having me, Mike. As you said, I started GoNoGo Charts after probably about 15 years working in financial industry. I worked for Bloomberg for a long time, and what we found was so many of our clients and ourselves too, we complicate our technical analysis. And I'm such a believer in technical analysis, but if you put too many things on the chart, it gets so difficult to read or to sort of understand what you're looking at. So the idea behind GoNoGo Charts was to take some of the foundational concepts and principles and blend them into something that just color coded the price chart. And from that, we built out a whole system that includes volatility, includes volume, and we have one price panel and one oscillator panel that we hope brings all of the technical analysis together so that you've got a clear picture of what you're looking at. But of course, exciting times today. We've got a lot of earnings coming out. Oklo's on the screen.
Yeah, so today we're going to be taking a look at, of course, OKLO. If you guys are out there in the chat, if you're in OKLO, let us know. But right now, I have the daily chart pulled up. It's actually a very interesting chart here, Alex, especially for the GoNoGo trend indicator, as you can see, because there's been a couple signals as of late. Back here on September 9th, it flipped to go, as you can see very clearly by this label right here. And then just recently, just November 6th, what is that, like 5 days ago, it flipped to no-go. So maybe we can give a brief overview of that. And real quick, before we do that, if you guys wanted to take a look at these indicators, there are links down below in the description, and we will drop them down below in the chat as well. It is default actually inside of the TrendSpider platform, but the guys over at GoNoGo have also implemented this squeeze indicator that we'll get into, which is really useful. And this pro indicator puts these labels on and puts these dots, and we'll cover all that in just a second. But what do you think of just the daily chart here of OKLO, Alex, with these two signals?
Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting. We've been in a really good move up for a few months. Just real quick, so everybody knows, I mean, some people might have seen us do presentations all over the place, but we've got the colors. There's 5 colors, and the colors go from bright blue to dark purple. The 2 bullish colors are the bright blue and the aqua color. The aqua is a weaker indication of a go trend, and the bright blue is the strongest form of the go trend. Right. On the other side, we've got the no-go, we've got the strong purple, and we've got the weaker pink. In between, we've got these amber bars that we call them the go fish bars. So we've got go, no-go, and go fish. We like the work of Jesse Livermore, and he was quoted as saying, there's a time to go long, a time to go short, a time to go fishing.
Right.
So when the market doesn't give you what you want, there's nothing wrong with saying that the market is uncertain. And so when we see those amber bars, those are our go fish bars. They often happen in transition periods. You can see here that it rolls through the colors as we change trend. So just so that people know what we're looking at, that's how we look at the main price indicator. Those are the 5 colors. And you can see that we made a series of higher highs and higher lows. After the last high there, we saw some weakness with the aqua colors. Price tried to find support, but then, as you said, we've rolled over into the amber bars and then now into a no-go. Right. But what makes this interesting for us is that we combine price trend with momentum. And in the lower panel, we've got the GoNoGo oscillator. And the way the GoNoGo oscillator is built is similar in a way in that we blend a whole load of momentum ideas into one indicator. But we know that when a strong trend is in place, momentum should be positive. So it's okay for us when we see indications of overbuying or excessive buying in an uptrend, because that's market enthusiasm. But there shouldn't be any oversold readings or any negative momentum coming in, because that would be a bigger concern. So when we look at our oscillator in conjunction with the trend, we like to see it at or above the 0 line the whole time and finding support at that level. And so that's what's interesting over the last couple of weeks, Mike. When we saw that weakness in the price trend, the oscillator failed to find support at 0 for the first time in a while. and then it quickly retested that level and broke back down into negative territory. So that told us that momentum was out of step with the go trend that we saw in price. And then, of course, then we saw the amber bars running into the no-go. So now we've got a no-go in place and momentum negative at a value of -2, telling us that at the moment, momentum is in line with the new trend, which is a no-go trend.
Right.
But there's a lot. I mean, there's all of the other stuff to talk about as well. The earlier in the chart, we've got a big squeeze. We've got all the other icons on the chart. We can step through some of that as well.
Yeah. And let me just take like a quick step back here. So for one, the oscillator that we're talking about is the GoNoGo squeeze oscillator. And we do have a link for this in the description. It is a separate kind of indicator from the upper one that just paints the candles and gives the labels. And to describe this kind of simply, I guess, it kind of combines everything that you would kind of normally see in a lower indicator from, like a basic like RSI reading and like a squeeze reading, and kind of puts it all into one. And so maybe let's just break down this lower indicator real quick from what this blue line here means, and then also these orange lines.
Absolutely. So the basic oscillator is the line that goes from the aqua color to the darker blue. And like you said, what we're passionate about is trying to include as much information as we can that we find valuable, but without crowding the chart. You've all seen charts where you've got, panel after panel after panel after panel. So in our oscillator, we've got, multiple readings of different types of momentum indicators. Think of RSI, stochastics, those kinds of things. And we put them all into one line that goes from overbought and oversold, much as a traditional oscillator would. But of course, we then add in volatility in the squeeze, and we add in volume by changing the color of the line. So we just didn't want to complicate the chart. So if you see the oscillator line changing color, that's volume changing. So at the beginning here, where you saw that nice run in price, you can see volume picking up when it goes to the darker blue, which is, volume analysis. That would be an encouraging sign because you've got market participation on a move higher in price. Then if you look at the squeeze grid, which are those orange lines, this is our attempt to capture a volatility squeeze. If you're familiar with things like Keltner bands or Bollinger bands, we know that from periods of reduced volatility come periods of higher volatility quite often. So we want to find those moments. And what we know from our oscillator is that when all of the inputs to our momentum readings are in their respective neutral territory, our oscillator goes to 0. So that's how we can use it, as I said earlier, as support in an uptrend by the fact that it bounces off the 0 line. But when it seems to get stuck at 0, right, when you can see there that the oscillator gets stuck at 0, that tells us there's a real tug of war sort of going on, right, between buyers and sellers at those levels. There's no overbought readings, no oversold readings. There's very sort of little directional momentum happening when the oscillator is stuck at 0. And so for every bar that the oscillator is stuck at 0, the grid, those orange lines, will climb, indicating the beginnings of a squeeze. And it climbs all the way up to 6, which we consider a max squeeze. And then if it stays at 6, that's an extended max go-no-go squeeze. So you can see there on the left side of the chart, we were in a period of sort of directionalist sideways movement, very small range on the price bars. We saw some amber bars come in as well, showing uncertainty. And then and then this big extended squeeze, and then it was broken to the upside, and then there was the go move that followed.
Yeah, exactly. So basically the way to read it, I mean, it seems like there's a lot of lines, but it's actually incredibly simple. The only thing these orange lines here mean is that each time another one is added is just another day of squeeze. So, the higher these go, the more days we've been in squeeze, and all they're based on is this line here, this teal line down here, staying at 0. And so it's very easy to read, like compared to like other indicators. Like, as you said, like it's literally, if it just continues going on 0 here, like you don't even need the orange lines, but it makes it obvious on the chart that it's just squeezing, it's just staying at 0. And as you can see, the price was not really moving a whole lot right here. And he said, went to those amber bars. And interesting enough, we got a go signal right here during the squeeze. And it took like a couple more days. And then right here, we see the volume pickup from the teal line going to dark blue. Don't even need volume candles. Pretty nice. And then from there, you know, you got this. We're able to capture this nice uptrend in OKLO right here. And then just recently we flipped to no go, and now we're heading into earnings.
Yeah,
So it should be, we're kind of going the opposite way now. So
it'll be interesting today.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a great chart to show it off. And people are asking if we can check other charts. We definitely will. We're going to be going through, you know, several other charts. Like maybe we can even, what was the other good one? We have like about 5 to 10 minutes until OKLO announces their earnings.
Yeah.
But I think we had another interesting chart here on NBIS. Let's take a look at this. This one actually reported earnings this morning. It looks like literally just today we got a no-go signal here.
Yeah. Yeah, so that had been a long go trend. I mean, you can see
Yeah,
higher highs, higher lows, you know, going back for a long, long time.
only to
The one
May.
thing that I wanted to point out that is on any chart, but it's a good example of it here as well. Those green circles that you see in a go trend, those tell us that
Yeah.
we're seeing signs of trend continuation. So
Right.
every time you're in a trend and you see those green circles, it's almost like a low risk point to know that the trend is likely to continue, because what we're saying then is that there is momentum resurgent in the direction of the trend. Every time the oscillator goes back into positive territory, we throw those green circles on the chart. So the icons work in with an interaction between the two panels, which just allows you to see the visual that, okay, every time we sort of look for support or we see weakening in the trend, as long as we get that green circle coming next, that trend is likely to continue. And then towards the right of the chart, you can see when that doesn't happen. And then it rolls back in. You see the oscillator break out of that squeeze, and then we're in a no-go today. So big down bar today.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I'm curious, I know like this is like a trend indicator. It's, you know, indicating trend shifts, but is there ever a time, like, would you use this as like direct buy and sells, or is this more of an indicator where it's like in conjunction with another indicator that you want to use for your specific entries and exits? Just curious on your take on that.
Yeah, I mean, so it works two ways for me. I was always an educator wherever I worked in finance, and so for me, the idea is to build something that gives a complete understanding of the technical analysis at any time on any security. So, it's educational like that, right? We know what's happening at any given point in terms of trend, momentum, volume, and volatility. But absolutely, it is an indicator that is being used by clients and by ourselves as one to tell us when we think something is happening and what to do about it. For example, we have clients that we're working with where they'll look at the green circles as buy-in opportunities in a trend, and then the red arrows as perhaps opportunities to take profit or to exit, because those red triangles are examples of waning momentum, right? The trend might not be over, but we're seeing the oscillator move from overbought into neutral territory. So yes, and it's a long short system, because the reverse of these blue bars are the no-go colors, and all of the oscillator analysis that we've been discussing works the same on the other side. You're looking for negative momentum, finding resistance at zero, and then rolling back over into negative territory, and then you get the trend continuation icons in no-goes and the counter trend correction icons in no-goes as well. So yes, it's definitely something you can use, but also educational.
Yeah, no, it makes complete sense. We had someone out there in the chat talking about NVTAS. I'm not even seeing a symbol pop up from that, so I'm not sure actually what they meant. Never mind there. But let's pull back up OKLO again here. I'm curious. So this is probably mostly used on the daily chart. Is that correct?
Well, from my experience is more of an institutional background, right? Working for Bloomberg and things. So we would focus a lot on the daily and the weekly charts,
Right.
but then I would be working with, traders that are using 5-minute charts. So like any technical indicator, you can use it on any, you can put the 5-minute on here and you'll see the same thing playing out. The same concepts apply, the same sort of principles apply. If you're in a no-go, the oscillator that in this case should be below or at zero, and every time it finds resistance at that level, then it's a continuation situation. So yeah, we have clients using it on. We've even had mutual fund people that look at it sort of quarterly charts, which is way too slow, I'm sure, for people that are watching this. But
yeah, for sure. Yeah. Yeah, quarterly, that's a long time
Yeah,
frame. But yeah, daily and weekly, generally I've seen, we had
yeah,
Tushar Shande on yesterday. It's generally like where
yeah,
I
yeah.
guess the sweet zone is for trend following, right?
You're getting into a bit of noise, when you go into the real short
Definitely.
term stuff. But
Definitely.
but we use it to qualify good entry points. So let's say your bias or your opinion is based on the daily or the weekly chart. You might drop down to a 30-minute maybe to get an entry. So
Right.
we're big believers in multi time frame analysis.
Hmm.
Some of the screens we build are looking at in go signals inside of weekly go trends, or go trend continuations inside of weekly go trends, bigger picture. So I think multi-time frame analysis is one of the best things you can do, provided you're doing it responsibly.
No, makes sense. Makes sense. Yeah, using those daily, weekly time frames for the overall analysis, but really nailing down the entry on the smaller ones does make sense. And the market did just close here. I believe we're getting the OKLO earnings in about 4 minutes. And so once those come out, I have the 1 minute chart up, and as you can see here on the GoNoGo trend indicator, which on a 1 minute it's going to be pretty tough. But as you can see, it actually flipped no go right here on 1417, was like 45 minutes ago or so, and a lot of red dots signaling a continuation of a downtrend. Did kind of nail this little kind of temporary bottom here on the
Yeah.
green triangle, but overall, it's actually nailed this 1 minute trend down in the last hour or so, like power hour, I guess you would call it,
Mhm.
into earnings pretty well. So we'll see what happens as the earnings get released. Curious if anyone in the chat is trading OKLO. It's a pretty good, pretty hype stock recently. Seen it a lot, on social media and all that. So I don't think it's going to impact the market quite as much as, some of the other earnings that we've seen, but it will be a decent sentiment gauge, I would say, at least for like retail and whatnot. Someone says they have a short from 173. Wow. 173. I mean,
Mhm.
that's pretty much right here. This red
Yeah.
triangle flicked in almost to the T right there.
That's timing
Um,
the market right there.
yeah,
That's very good.
yeah. Love it. But yeah, let's go back here to the 1 minute. See if we had any squeezes. Had a nice little squeeze right there in the middle
Mhm.
of the downtrend and continuation lower. Should be kind of fun to see how these candles maybe change color if we get a nice little up move. As you can see, it's changing here to the was it the Go Fish color temporarily. So
Yeah.
should be fun to watch.
And that's one of the things too to point out, is that live you can watch the colors change, but once the
Right.
bar is closed, they'll never repaint, of course.
Yep, exactly. So it's based on bar closes, right?
Yeah.
So that means, well, so daily chart candles, do those repaint intraday, and then once they close, it's done?
Yeah, if you're watching it, it can change, but
Yeah,
once the bar closes on any time
yeah.
frame. Yeah.
Got it. Makes sense. Makes sense. Someone says they missed, but I don't think the numbers are out for a couple more minutes. Let's see how the daily chart. We got this dark purple candle still right here, which is
Yeah.
interesting. Let's check out maybe the 5 minute, maybe something a little bit different there.
Yeah.
Pretty dark purple.
Yeah, it's going up and
Everything.
down, right? It's gone up a lot, it's come back down. We'll be sort of settling.
Yeah. I noticed the no go. So the no go symbol emerge or signal emerges once it turns light purple, right? Not dark purple.
It can go straight to dark purple if the
Okay.
movement is severe enough, if the
Got it.
calculations behind the scenes, if it's a full if all the criteria are being met behind the scenes to say we're in a
Mhm.
strong no go, then it can go no go purple right away.
Got it. So it doesn't
It's
necessarily
in
have
an
to go all
ideal
the way.
world, you'd see it flow through all the colors in
Yeah.
order, but
Yeah.
it doesn't always happen.
Of
And there's
course.
not
Never
always
know.
an amber go fish bar in between either. So it can, obviously it can
Right.
flip from a no go
Yeah.
to a go.
Yeah.
Um,
Makes sense. Makes sense. Let's see here. So we got some news.
so
Let
it's
me add.
moving
Yeah,
lower
we're
now.
getting some movement here.
Yeah,
You see Benzinga News that says Oklo signs MOU with Idaho National Laboratory operator, but I'm not seeing the actual earnings announcement. People are saying it's out, which is interesting because it shouldn't be out for another minute, but we are getting some movement.
we are. Yeah,
Someone in chat said they missed EPS, which is interesting. If I pull up our chart here, I don't think it is out quite yet. Yeah. November 11th. Yeah, so we'll see. I'll keep refreshing this news widget here and we'll see what happens. Oh, here we go. Yeah, Q3 EPS does miss. Negative 20 versus the negative 12 estimates. No news yet on revenue. Should be coming in any second, but that is not, I mean, not necessarily a good sign. Is Oklo the one actually without any revenue? Yeah, actually, they don't have any revenue, so it's probably not going to be a game changer either way. Yeah.
That's a miss.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Zero is zero. But yeah, it looks like we're getting some movement to the downside. Only about what, minus 2.29%, which is probably not as bad as it could be.
Yeah. Well, I think
For
what's interesting is that it already might have, some of it looks like it had been priced in, right, with already the move to a
probably.
no-go.
Yeah, right. But yeah, it's continuing with these purple bars to the downside as we speak. So let's go and check out the daily C. Yeah, I mean, it's going to stick with dark purple there for sure. See, there's kind of this pivot level here, that this support level, I guess you could call it, until it wasn't. It flipped to, it's actually interesting. We flipped to no-go as we broke under this kind of previous support, just horizontal line right there.
Yeah. So if you have a minute, I would love to talk about that little section as well later on.
No, definitely. We'll get into that.
Yeah.
Like right after this, right after this stock stops moving. It should be pretty soon. It looks like it's not going too crazy, you know, down minus like 4 point. Oh, it's coming back up a little bit now. So nothing too crazy. But yeah, maybe let's just go ahead and talk about it. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, that just jumps out to me as a classic sort of head and shoulders pattern, right? And
right, yeah, for sure.
What's really nice about putting the technical analysis into the price colors is that you don't put anything else on the chart. So it's really easy to see that traditional kind of technical analysis. And you highlighted it's just a perfectly natural support level there. And we're waiting to see if it would break. And when we look at go-no-go analysis with a traditional pattern, you can see the movement through the left side of the pattern to the right side. And on the left side of this, we're in go bars, go colors, oscillators above zero. We hit that high in the middle. And now we're forming the second side of the head and shoulders. And you can see the oscillator breaks below zero after on the left shoulder as it comes down. And then you've got more weaker aqua colors. And then you've got the amber. And so it's all sort of telling you, look, this might break down. Of course, with traditional technical analysis, that wouldn't be a completed head and shoulders until it's broken that support line. But you've been given sort of a lead in with the go-no-go, with the colors changing, with the oscillator going below zero. And now we look like we're below that neckline. But you can sort of see the way the technical analysis has changed. The environment has changed over the last sort of several weeks.
No, yeah, it makes sense. Makes sense. It's kind of interesting because, you know, GoNoGo doesn't really use any specific like levels, right, in the calculations, but it just happened to, you know, line up perfectly right there with, you know, the trend flipping. So yeah, very cool analysis there. And it's funny, we actually had the left shoulder, the right shoulder, and the head drawn right there. It's kind of funny. It's always funny to see these, you know, really obvious patterns and watch how they play out.
Yeah, we find like we've done some research onto it, but certainly anecdotally, we find that color change tends to happen at important levels and important events. So if you're looking at a trend line, a break of an uptrend may well coincide with a change in color to an amber bar or a no-go. So we like to see that confluence of stuff happening. It just gives weight to the evidence of what you're looking at.
It's true. You know, double confirmation, you know, breakdown from a head and shoulders, got a no-go, tagging it right there at the break under it. So, I mean, it's, yeah, again, just extra confirmation. I'm curious, like, I know like the squeeze line did tick up to -2 right here. Is that really anything of note at all? Like the fact that it ticked up, or the fact that it's still, you know, negative, it just means it's still pretty weak.
So the oscillator line, the squeeze is the orange grid lines. The oscillator line ticking up, I mean, it's going to as long as it stays in negative territory, we're looking at that zero line as that objective level. So, you know, this has been a move down now. Maybe we retest that neckline. If we retest the neckline on price, then I would expect the oscillator to retest the zero level.
Makes
sense.
As long
as it, you know, as long as it finds resistance there, then the no-go is likely to continue. But yeah, with it in at -2, it still confirms the no-go.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. And real quick, we'll just pull up the 1 minute chart again. Doesn't look like anything too crazy has happened. They did miss, and yeah, it's still just down -2%.
Yeah.
Probably have to wait for the earnings call for any extra real move. But if any of you guys are out there in the chat, you want to see any specific chart, please let us know down below. We can go ahead and take a look at it using this awesome indicator. Again, if you guys haven't already, use the links down below and in the chat to check these indicators out if you wanted to use them for yourself. We are running our Black Friday sale right now, so you can get a trial of this platform for just $5 and start using this indicator, at least the built-in one, as part of that trial as well. And I believe you also have a 5-day trial for the pro ones too, which definitely you should take advantage of as well. But yeah, Alex, was there any other charts that you specifically had in mind that
I was
you've been
looking at a
looking at?
couple earlier.
Yeah.
I was looking at SE was
Right.
one.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That was interesting. This
Yeah.
is this one was interesting because if you zoom in a bit, you see that retest on the oscillator line today, and that was with
Right.
earnings, right? So we're in a no-go trend. Oscillators coming back to test the zero line, and then we get that real rejection and that confirmation with the red no-go trend
Yep.
continuation as well, and then the oscillator falling back into negative territory and on heavier volume. You see the volume picking up because it's going to the dark blue as well over the
Right.
last couple of bars. So that's sort of, to me, that was a strong confirmation of the no-go trend that we're in on SE.
Definitely.
Breaking through, pretty sideways movement too in price there, and we've sort of really broken below that with some of that movement today. And then another one I think was AU we were looking at.
Yeah.
Also, I think had earnings today.
That's a great set.
And if you scroll out a bit, you can see the sort of importance of this break. This is like a real sort of test of prior highs. We're in a long go trend. You can see several sort of opportunities to participate in that go trend with the green circles, the breakout of the squeeze. And then we sort of saw a deeper correction where the oscillator failed to hold support at zero, went into negative territory. Mm-hmm. And then we still saw some real chop with some amber go fish bars, some no-go colors, and then back to amber again as the oscillator tested the zero line, this time from below. And then yesterday, the oscillator broke into positive territory. And now today we have a new go trend, and we're right at those prior highs. So that'll be interesting. That's a nice pop today. Maybe that correction is over and we're looking at a new go trend that could set new higher highs in the coming days with momentum on its side now as well.
Yeah, something I personally noticed about this too is I see the line turn from aqua to dark blue here, kind of in this kind of correction territory. Is that something that, I don't know, you would think that is significant? Is that I guess
yeah. So like, I mean, if you can't tell, I'm a big fan of technical analysis. So that's volume analysis, and it can really be helpful. So at this point, that would have been a concern for the go trend, right? Like we were still painting aqua bars, but that gap lower, and then we see all of the heavier volume as price then moves in much lower through the aqua into the first no-go. That would have told me that markets were sort of participating in that drop from the highs. But then the volume kind of dried out as price went sideways there. So even right now, that's a great point to bring up, because even though we've got that new go color, we don't really yet have the volume buy-in at the bottom that perhaps you'd like to see. So like if we can consolidate at these levels, you'd like to see that oscillator go to dark blue, telling us that, relatively speaking, the market's participating again. So that's a great point to bring up, because the volume bit sort of really rounds it out.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, as like you said, like right before this no-go signal came in, had some pretty strong volume here. I guess you would say on the downside, I guess it did gap down, of course, which is naturally just going to bring in a lot of volume. But then we got, these two no-go signals in conjunction with the heavier volume. And yeah, it would be nice definitely to see, some additional volume to come in on the buy side. Especially with this go trend. So yeah, definitely an interesting chart there as well. AU, that is, it's looking like if we pull out to the weekly, pretty much exactly how gold is trading. Let's take a look at GLD. Or at it, kind of similar. Obviously, this is like the gold ETF.
Yeah, of course. Gold has been, we've been. I remember a couple of years ago talking about the decade-long cup and handle pattern on gold that
Right.
people were
Yeah.
looking at, and it was,
Very.
will it ever, will it ever, will it ever go, will it ever go? And then it
And it
did,
sure did,
and
right?
it did, yeah. And yeah, you
Yeah.
could bring that chart back in, but you can see how long it took. If that's that right side of that sort of, it took, you see how long that was
Oh,
going
yeah.
sideways before it then took off, and that's what happened. It's been an amazing move. The last, if you look at it on a daily or even a weekly, there's been a little bit of pullback in the last few bars, um,
Yes. Yep.
but
Exactly.
still in a go trend for sure. And then today and yesterday, a little nice little pop back. It will be, what we'll be looking at here is we'll be looking to see if the oscillator can get back and regain positive territory. That's what we'll be looking at with the go still in place. We'll want
Yep.
the oscillator to get back into positive territory. And if it does, that'll give us a green circle, which will be go trend continuation for gold. But yeah, gold has been interesting for about 14 years. It's crazy.
All right. Yeah. Crazy pattern. And it really just played out perfectly. That cup and handle on
Yeah.
the monthly. I mean, it's a
It's
beautiful
every,
display.
it's like that'll be a textbook example for
Oh,
ever,
yeah.
for the next
Forever, for
1,000 years.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, it took, many, many years to play out, but,
yeah,
and along the way, like kind of
yeah,
classic example here of,
yeah,
trend following is like, it chops until it doesn't. And then you're
yeah,
finally in on the go signal and
yeah,
all this one massive trade just makes up for all the years and years
yeah.
of, waiting for it to play out. So
And
really just got to,
that's when you'd use other things too. Like if you pull that back, there's such a clear line. You could draw like a straight across resistance level on that
oh, yeah,
period right there.
right up here.
So
Yeah.
we'd all have that on our charts. Yes, we want it to be a go. Yes, we want it to take off. Every time it gets up to that level, you're waiting to see if it breaks, and then it does.
Exactly.
And again, that's just to to reiterate. That's why we're so hesitant to put anything on our chart that covers it up, because you can just see those things if you just have price. So it was very important for us just to try to put all the technical analysis into the colors.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And playing like GLD itself is like okay, but playing like gold related stocks, you could probably catch like an even larger trend, or at least get some higher
Yeah,
returns. Like there's AU, like you were saying. Like I know CDE is another one that was probably pretty good as well here. Oh, CDE is interesting. This one came
yeah,
down a little
that's
bit more.
interesting. You see? Yeah, that's
Yeah,
interesting.
it's like a
Yeah,
gold mining stock, I believe. But
yeah.
yeah, some pretty good charts out here. Let's take a look at OKLO again real quick. Oh, interesting.
There you
So this is
go.
the 1
Right,
minute. So,
trying to get some of that back.
yeah, it's really, I mean, this
Hasn't
has
gone
really
to a
been,
go though yet. So
yeah,
yeah,
it's really been the story with earnings lately is just kind of a lot of chop and end up right back where it started. Looks
yeah,
like that's kind of what's happening here.
yeah.
So,
And then it doesn't have much effect, if anything, on the daily charts or
exactly.
the longer term
Yeah.
chart.
So yeah, you zoom back out to the daily here.
Yeah.
It's really just, right where it closed, still in that dark purple.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, interesting stuff there. And I think we checked out, yeah, we looked at SC and NBIS already. So those are the
Yeah.
kind of the two big other earnings movers lately. I saw someone say HIMS down there in the chat. So let's take a look at HIMS here. This one has been really choppy lately,
Yeah,
to
that
be
one.
honest. This one was trending back over here. I know in like January had a nice run there.
Yeah.
But really, I mean, this
This
one's
one's
really gone back
interesting
and
now
forth.
because it's in a no-go and it's testing those lows. So
Yeah, right.
that might be the next significant move if we can get lower. It looks a little bit lower than those two prior lows already, so that may be more
Yeah,
downside there. But
yeah, for sure. Let's check out the weekly maybe.
yeah,
Turn off these drawings real quick. But yeah, I guess
those drawings were
oh,
perfect
interesting.
though. Those drawings were amazing.
I know, yeah, right. Uh,
Like
if you
look at
turn on the log
the
scale here.
yeah, look at the no-go confirming that break of that
Oh
trend.
yeah,
So like
yeah, that is.
that's
Yeah,
the
look
kind
at
of
that.
thing you look for. That's the bigger picture trend.
Right.
And it's definitely, however you look at it with the technicals, it's definitely being threatened right now.
Yeah, look at that. That's perfect. Like you were saying, like you can combine it with,
Yeah,
horizontal lines, trend lines, and here's another instance of it lining up almost to the T right there. Look at
yeah,
that. Turned amber right under there and no go under the trend line break. Very, very interesting there. And this is the weekly of HIMS right here. Yeah, we have AMAT reporting later this week. Someone requested that one. I guess we could start on the weekly here.
Yeah.
Looks like they had a go signal back in September, and it's had this recent. What would you call this exactly? This
Yeah.
red triangle.
Those are counter trend corrections.
Counter trend, right?
So
Yeah.
yeah, you're in a go trend, but there's a bit of waning momentum. So it's not saying the trend is changed, but it may struggle in the short term to go higher. You may see, a little bit of a come pullback and then a go again, or something you have to watch and see what happens with the oscillator at zero. But
Yeah, which made sense. I mean, it's up like nearly 50% in 2 weeks, so that's not unreasonable to expect at all. If we pull up to the daily now, though,
yeah,
that's a good.
the daily's good because this is the perfect moment to be looking at the chart because we're in a situation where we're testing the zero line. So that's that's really important. We're in a go trend. We've made some higher highs and higher lows. You can see, the other thing that because we've blended multiple things into the oscillator, you can still see traditional momentum analysis. So you can see the divergence there, like jumping off the chart, right? Like you've got higher highs in price, you've got lower highs in the oscillator. And so it'll be very important that the oscillator continues to find support at zero as the trend sort of flattens out and weakens a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, not a whole lot of volume here either, which is
no.
and it's setting up a squeeze. So probably setting up for a pretty big move to one way or another here on earnings in a couple days. So should be a fun one to watch. Should be a fun one to watch on AMAT for sure. Let's see what else anyone has. Yeah, so this indicator, you do get a 5-day free trial with this indicator. Someone was asking if it's on sale. You can try it out for free for 5 days using the link down below. And TrendSpider itself is on sale. You can try the entire TrendSpider platform for $5. And that includes, getting a free trial of this indicator. So you can try out for $5 today, which is not a bad deal at all. So
and just to mention, to remind people, the colors, the trend, the GoNoGo trend itself is for free on TrendSpider.
yes,
The changing colors, the trend analysis is for free.
Yeah, exactly. I have both of them on the chart. So this version of the indicator is free. You can get all the trend analysis in the colors built right in the TrendSpider for free. So you can try it out for free, literally. And if you wanted to get to the pro, you can upgrade using the link down below. And it basically just adds, some nice things like labels for the go tags or the go signals, the counter trend. And then you can also try out the squeeze indicator, which is really nice down here as well.
And the icons are where it gets powerful for me because it's the interaction between the trend and the momentum. So, but using data visualization to put it on the chart. I always feel like technical analysts are the data visualization experts of the financial markets, and it's important that we keep pushing that idea that we don't just stop at a line chart or a bar chart. There's so many things we can do to visualize markets and visualize trends and visualize movements. So that's that interaction between the two.
Yep, of course. Great point. Someone said AMD looks like they are starting to squeeze here as well.
So that's a really interesting one because you can see how the squeeze hopefully plays out or sometimes plays out earlier in the chart where you've got all that sideways movement, shrinking price bars, max extended squeeze, and then boom, there's your pop. And what you'll see is it'll come before the major movement. So you can see that they broke out of the squeeze there, a couple bars ahead of time, and that's really nice when that kind of thing happens. And so we're entering another one now, and you can get squeezes that are trend reversals as it was there, or you can get squeezes that are continuations. So you get squeezes in the middle of trends too, of course. And right now we're building that go-no-go squeeze up to the max. So this one's going to be something that's really, really going to be fun to watch. If we can get the max squeeze, then of course we'll watch to see in which direction it breaks, either into positive territory or negative territory, and that'll really help us understand where price may go.
Yep. Let's take a look at NVIDIA too. Other people asking now, you got to take a look at NVIDIA.
Yeah.
Let's see. This one's been interesting. Honestly, for an NVIDIA, I guess more on the choppy side ever since July 31st. Like we've tried to make some moves to the upside. We did right here, broke out this nice little base. It came right back down, but basically been in a go signal for kind of a bit now at this point. So and a couple different squeezes.
Finding support at zero again.
Yeah.
But
So
you
we'll
can
see.
screen for all of this too, which is what's fantastic with the TrendSpider information too.
Yeah, no, for sure. I can pull that up right now. Actually, you can actually, yeah, exactly. You can scan for stocks. You know, really doing anything with these within these indicators, whether it's flashing a go signal. I know you have some scanners. I have this one right here, where it's basically scanning for stocks where a go signal emerged within the last 5 days, and then it's in at least like a 4-period squeeze. So let's see what we can pull up in this scanner. And if you guys have the indicator, on TrendSpider, you can go ahead and build a scan similar to this very easily, just using the market scanner down there. But let's see, we have, I remember seeing a target on here, COF. Let's see what else. You can pull up the, and you can screen in basically the entire market, whether it's, the
Mhm.
NASDAQ composite, the NYSE, thousands of stocks at one time. But as you can see, just to show the functionality of it, as you can see, there was a go signal, emerging within the last few days, and also a squeeze. So you can basically find exactly if you're like have a setup that you like on this indicator where it's,
Mhm.
a signal emerging after a squeeze or, during a squeeze, you can set up your parameters and find exactly what you're looking for in the market, just like that.
Yeah, one of the you can screen on any component within the indicator package. So you can look for all the goes on the S&P 500, right? New goes,
Right.
or you can look for trend continuations within go trends. You can
Hmm.
look for breakouts of max squeezes. One of the ones that I look at a lot, probably my favorite, is looking for go trend continuation on a daily
Hmm.
chart within a weekly go trend. So that's also so powerful. Like you can bring in different time frames in the scanner. You can sort of
Yeah.
say, find me securities that are giving a daily signal where the bigger picture trend is a go, right? So like my market bias, let's say, is a go, but I want to find entry points on the smaller time frame. So you can search for, go trend continuation within the weekly go trend. So that's that kind of thing. It saves so much time, and that's how
Yeah.
I do a lot of my research.
No, yeah,
Just
for
sort of that
sure.
starting point.
Yeah, incredibly customizable. Like you can even if you really want, I know most people here probably are technical traders, but you can even combine fundamental stuff in there. Like if you only
Right,
want to
right.
trade profitable companies, companies with
Yeah,
revenue growth, stuff like that, you can combine those as well, which is a really cool feature as well.
yeah,
But we can see like Dino is in here. It's been having a squeeze. Just recently had a ghost signal. This one's pretty interesting. This one's
yeah.
been multiple squeezes, really consolidating, forming this really tight base. And it
Yeah,
looks like volume is starting to pick up here with this ghost signal as well. So that one's pretty interesting.
yeah.
Ever since their last earnings there. Let's see. Capital One Financial. Actually, let's look at XOM because I know energy stocks have been getting
Mhm.
some decent movement lately. As you can see, there was a squeeze here on Exxon Mobil. Actually, the squeeze happened during this go signal, and then it had a trend continuation signal there, and it's been looking pretty good. It looks like it just broke above this recent pivot level.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, nice setup there, and yeah, using the scanner makes it really easy to just easily spot this stuff. You can see there's a clear breakout to the
Yeah.
upside there after the squeeze. So um, lots of ways to quickly find what you're looking for on the platform. So yeah,
Yeah,
um,
and I think you mentioned that the using the fundamentals,
yeah,
just using whatever you can use, whether it's, this or something else, but when you can combine sensible ideas to back up a thesis that you might have, right? That gives you peace of mind, and it just sort of helps you do your analysis without getting confused, without confusing yourself. And a lot of the research we're doing now is using these kind of the go no go ideas, the go no go concepts in fundamental analysis as well, and bringing that sort of navigating that gap between the two and trying to sort of one of the
right.
things I like to do a lot is look for technical signals, like technical go signals
Mhm.
for undervalued securities, right? Like
Right.
something that's coming out of a tough patch fundamentally. You don't want to be buying something that is just never coming out, but
Yeah.
also you want to look for those undervalued securities and but wait to time them with some technical analysis. And so
Yep.
that's a good way of looking at it too. And you've got all of that data in the TrendSpider platform, which is
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. It's very nice. Very nice. Our market scanner is really top tier. Like it's probably one of the It's definitely my favorite thing about the platform. I couldn't even live without the TrendSpider scanner at this point.
Yeah.
It just makes everything so much quicker and easier. Someone did comment Palantir. I know it's coming up to 1:30. Let me know, Alex, if you have to go. I'll probably stick around for at least another 15. So, I don't
Okay.
want to take up too much of your time, but just keep me posted there. But Palantir is interesting. It looks like at kind of like this bottom support level, we got to go signal right here. How often would you say you see that? Because I know this is like a trend
Yeah.
indicator.
Yeah. I mean, I like I was hinting at it earlier. We tend to see go trend analysis, important moments in Go trend analysis lining up with important
Yep.
levels on the chart. And so that's always something to keep in mind. Like if you're looking at a support level, that is, I mean, support levels they're support levels because people buy the security at that level, right? So like
Mhm.
there are real sound reasons, market dynamics that tell you you can put a support level on a chart because every time prices come down to that level, the market has bought it, right? So that's why we're putting these important levels on charts. And we do tend to find interesting things happening with the GoNoGo analytics around those levels. So if we were looking at this, we would be expecting support and we would be hoping to see that amber bar go back to a go color because that will be then confirming the support at that level. So yeah, absolutely that happens when you've got important levels, not just important levels, but important traditional analysis, trend lines, patterns. If you're seeing prior highs, double tops, if you're getting a go color at a double bottom level of support, right? That's more weight to the to whatever you're seeing on the chart. So yeah, absolutely that happens.
Yeah. No, it's really unique, I think, about you guys' indicator here because, like, generally with trend following, you usually see like it's like pretty obvious when you're going to see like an entry for a trend following system, like prices just going up. But like here, it comes down to a support level. Generally, a trend fall and you're waiting for like maybe a breakout or something. But this kind of combines like, these
Yeah.
different levels in a really nice way. So I'm
Thank
impressed by
you.
that. It's really cool.
Thanks.
Yeah, and Palantir right here, you can see there's quite a bit of volume, obviously because of earnings, but even before earnings, the run up too, they had a breakout above this level and then they came down, flashed an amber bar, then right to go. And
Yeah.
now we're starting to squeeze again, all on high volume.
Yeah.
And yeah,
And
it makes it yeah, go ahead.
no, the one other thing I would say is like again, because the bars are colored, you can still do all kinds of other things like candle analysis, right? So like I'm
Right.
always looking at dojis within a go trend. What does that mean for me? Or I'm looking
Yeah,
at like a hammer in a go trend. Is that something that's important? And you can see all of those. Like you can see those patterns. You have obviously the pattern automatic
yep,
pattern finder, the candle pattern finder. But just for me looking at it, if I have nothing on the chart, because I can just look at the bars and the candles, I can still look at inside days, outside days. I can look
of
for
course.
all of that. That is what you'd normally be looking at, and if it lines up with something, then that becomes very powerful, right? Like if you're looking at a go trend and you think you're going to get support, the oscillator bounces off zero, that gives me go trend continuation, and then I get like a bullish engulfing. Then okay, you can put it all together, and it just gives you more peace of mind.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. If there's anyone out there, it looks like we had another chart request. LAES. Let's take a look. Oh, this one's been trending pretty
Yeah,
nicely, actually.
that's a really really cool chart. That's an interesting chart. Like
Yeah, a lot of squeezes.
yeah, and coming back to that sort of latter portion, this is where for us now, this is the first sort of moment of concern, right? So you've got a go trend in place. It's been supported by the oscillator, finding support at zero through the
Mhm.
entire movement. And then, like now, since that last high, we failed to make another high. The GoNoGo trend has painted a lot of aqua bars showing weakness. We've seen volume dry up a little bit because the oscillator's gone from dark blue to aqua. And then now, for the first time, we're breaking down into negative territory. So,
Mm,
trend is always trend is everything, right? Because
yeah.
I am a trend follower. So the trend is still a go, but I'm a little worried that there hasn't been the momentum support that you would like to see, especially after a failed higher high. and a lot of weakness coming in through the aqua color. So I would really like to see that oscillator quickly regain positive territory if
For sure.
we're to see the trend continue. We also have a natural level of support there with the prior low, though. So, I'd be looking at all of that in conjunction. But definitely,
Yep.
if everything was healthy, the oscillator should not have fallen into negative territory. So
That's a good point.
first
Very
thing to
good
note
point.
there.
Yeah. Another thing I noticed too, I love looking at volume, is that we had a lot of this entire time it's been uptrending. The volume has been,
Exactly.
exceptionally well. And
Yeah.
then ever since started squeezing, volume has started declining. I'm curious, what is your opinion on like the volume being really strong, during the strong go trend, and then now still in the go signal, but it's
Yeah.
starting, the volume's starting to taper off and squeeze.
Well, if we're going to use traditional volume analysis, and if the go trend continues, right? If we find the oscillator goes back above zero and price stays in the go trend, then this will have been a pullback. And in pullbacks, volume should be lighter if you're in an uptrend. So the
Right.
fact that there was a lot of volume on the up move and then less volume on this sort of sideways pullback, that's not a bad thing as long as we don't see trend change and continued weakening of the oscillator falling further into negative territory.
Gotcha.
If the oscillator gets back to positive territory and price goes up, then we'd want to see volume pick up again, right? If we have a movement up, we want to see volume come back in. But as long as the trend holds, lower volume on a pullback is actually traditionally considered not a bad thing, right? You want heavy volume on the move up, low volume on the pullback, and then heavy volume again on the leg up.
Yep, makes sense. Makes sense. Let's see. We got another one for ONDS. Let's take a look. This one's interesting.
Yeah. This is sort of a little bit further into a new no-go. It had a really good go trend. Oscillator primarily finding support at zero throughout that move. Lots of trend continuation icons, but then on the last one, lots of aqua bars, a lot more weakness, and then the oscillator fails at zero ahead of that trend change. So hopefully, just by going through the charts, you can see how we try to do the analysis. It's really just like one or two or three things that is long. If you can look at the state of the trend, you can look at where momentum is, and you can decipher if there's anything interesting happening around the zero line on the oscillator, then you have a pretty sound view of the technical analysis on whatever you're looking at. So this one right now is in a no-go trend. Momentum is negative, volume is heavy. Where, if we're below the last lower low, so this could be a lower high, like this is in a sort of healthy no-go trend. Having had a really good go trend for the last several months.
Yeah, and we just draw, maybe it's a couple different pivot levels. I guess more like a zone you could probably draw right here. I guess more so this level to like maybe right down there would be another kind of level to keep an eye on. But definitely it looks like it's starting to taper off there, especially with the no-go signal. Actually got some volume picking up as well into these dark purple bars as well. So cool.
Yeah, that's a pretty healthy no-go trend.
For sure. And if it breaks that, it's probably going to get even healthier. Amazon, that's a good one. This one's been interesting lately for sure. Let's see. Start on the weekly. Weekly, I mean, still like nearing all-time highs, like pretty close to its all-time highs here on Amazon. Really hasn't gone much of anywhere really since the top of 21. We've gone a little bit higher. Back to the daily. Let's see.
Yeah, you can see. I mean, it pulls out the sort of the strong moves, and then this last one is sort of catching my eye a little bit because we had a go trend, we had a no-go correction, and then on this most recent break back above zero, the go comes back. Now we've got gap support, right? So like if you look at that gap higher on that first go bar, we've gapped higher than prior highs. So there should be support at the top of that gap, which lines up with sort of the prior high from when was that, early September. So we already found support there once with that what looks like a hammer. And so now that should serve as support going forward. So this sort of jump higher into a go trend, we've already found support. Oscillator, I was expecting to go to zero a couple of days ago, but it didn't. It actually stayed positive. The oscillator stayed at a value of 1. So we haven't retested the zero line yet, but I would look for that level to be used sort of as a building point, if we can, and then potentially move to high highs.
Yep, makes sense. Makes sense. Yeah, I had a nice squeeze over here. I also noticed like there's several times on this chart where there's several like go signals
Yeah.
in pretty recent times within each other. Is that like what was your opinion on like multiple go trends? Does that mean it's stronger? Or it's just like the same signal kind of happening like
Yeah, no.
several times?
So that to me is a bit of a period of chop, right? Like the amber
Yeah,
bars coming in and out throughout that go
right.
period. So there's lots of ways. One of the ways that we have longer term traders using the charts is that they're long everything except a no-go, right? A no-go is like the high risk, you shouldn't be in anything, right? So you could be ignoring those amber bars because they haven't gone to no-go. You also would be looking at the oscillator to make sure it stays above positive territory. But to be honest, if you get that amber bar in the middle of that go trend, that's not as strong or as healthy of a go trend as you'd like, right? That's a bit of a
Got it.
bit of a pause. When it goes back to the go trend, that's okay. The go trend has returned. That's good. But yeah, once a really strong go starts, there usually isn't any amber until much later on. So this one really struggled to take off, and then it went back into the no go for a little while, even made a lower low, but again lined up with prior support. So you're looking at that all sort of together to get a sense of what's happening. That was a bit choppy for Amazon.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. You can see, yeah, it's very insightful too, how you say when there's multiple signals there, it's probably not as strong as you like. That's very useful input there.
The one
Uh,
thing that I do like to see is multiple, like I can't remember the chart. It might have been it was one of the recent ones you just had. Maybe it was AMD or AMAT. But
let's see. Is it AMD? Was
no,
it multiple
yeah, multiple. So typically, this is going to be interesting to see if we stay above zero on the oscillator. But multiple trend continuation icons
right,
often come across as accumulation, right? Like
right.
you've got sort of momentum support. You keep testing this level, you get more market buy-in. You keep testing this level, you get continuation. So sometimes that reads as accumulation or sort of like so I like to see a clustering of trend continuation icons, especially sort of later on in a pattern or early on in a go trend. It's like we keep testing, and yes, people keep buying back in. So that one I like to see multiple of the same icon
Yeah,
happening.
makes sense. Yeah. And you can, I guess, would you do you have like any thoughts on like using these signals as places to like maybe add to a position or trim a position? Like, would you like
Yeah,
consider like trimming here and adding here, or are you like
yeah.
kind of a more all in, all out kind of
No,
trader?
for sure. I mean, again, it depends on who you are and what your risk
Yeah,
tolerance is and what your trading strategy is. Because I've come from the institutional space where I work with all kinds of different people. So
for
your
sure.
your strategy might be different, but 100% we have people using them in just that way, where maybe you
Yeah.
you you add to positions on green circles, you maybe take profit or trim on the counter trend correction icons. Other people are just long the goes, and that's what they're looking for. There are other
Yeah.
people that try to beat the continuation icons and are just they add to positions when you test the zero line. So like
Mhm.
right there when you're in a go trend and the oscillator falls to the zero line, they'll add to positions. And if the oscillator then breaks to below, okay, then you change, you get out, you cut, you have a stop set. But yes, there's many different ways to use it. I'm always
For sure.
hesitant to sort of espouse one over the other because I work with so many different people in different sort of areas of finance.
Yeah, no, that's fair. No, like you said, tons of different ways to use it, and really, yeah, it just depends on whatever kind of trader you are. It just shows the versatility, I guess, of how many different ways you can use it, especially this pro one. The addition of these icons here is actually really powerful as opposed to just the traditional go and no go trends with the ability to, to implement that stuff if you wanted, and especially with the oscillator as well. um, and it does make it really easy. Like you don't have to have volume bars, like right away if the volume's strong or not, which I really like,
Yeah.
as opposed to having to sit there and look at, like a traditional volume bar. Don't even have it up right now, but just seeing like how elevated they are. Is there like a specific look back that this uses for volume candles? Like,
So it's sort of looking back at volume relative to its average end day volume between sort of that 15-30 day period.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. Cool, cool. Yeah. So yeah, we've been live for about an hour now. So if you guys have any more questions, any more charts you want us to look at, we definitely will. Let's take one more look at OKLO here. Maybe we missed, bigger move. Very choppy, as you can
There you
see
go.
here on the 1 minute chart.
Yeah. Yeah.
Again, pretty much right where we were when the stock closed. They did miss earnings, unfortunately, if you're in. But yeah, definitely something to keep an eye on is this pivot level right here at right around like 112-ish or so. So the head and shoulders neckline is right there as well.
So that'd be a beautiful one to watch. Yeah.
Yeah, that should be. So
Yeah.
yeah. I guess do you
Mike.
have any final thoughts on for the viewers as far as best practices for using this indicator?
Yeah. So for me, I always sort of say like it's designed to put everything together for you so that you can understand the technical analysis that's happening on any security, and keep that in line with your strategy. What we always like to say is don't um, wish the technicals support your thesis. Right? They either do or they don't, and I think
Right.
that that's one of the things that we find useful about the go no go is that you can be so sure. Sometimes you get a squeeze, you get a break, they beat earnings. You can be so sure that something should stay a go, but then it gives you a no go. And the technical analysis has told me that the environment has changed. And so I try to respect the technical analysis because it's what the market is doing. So the visuals of this, it keeps me honest because I might, you can't help yourself, right? You have an opinion on a stock or you have a thesis, and then the indicator turns color and says, no, you're wrong. It's now a no-go. And just keep yourselves honest, whatever technicals you use. I remember talking to somebody on the bus like in 2008 that was a he was actually an economist, and he said there were so many reasons that the financial crisis was going to happen, but none of us believed ourselves, right? So like that's why
Right.
you need these tools to keep you honest. And if you look at a big trend with technical analysis, there are several reasons to tell you when something has changed or when something is over. You just have to, you have to have the sort of honesty, to the discipline to be sensible. That's all.
Yeah. No, a big part of trading is, if you have a system, you got to follow it. You got to stay disciplined.
Right.
And
Yeah.
sometimes, you could get too attached to a trade, or you really think you're right. You're like, maybe this one time, but yeah, absolutely great, great piece of advice right there is stick with the system that you have and trust it. And yeah, don't
And the
deviate.
thing with go no go with all technicals, depending on how conservative you are or not, there is a stepping through process that gets more and more sure of itself, right? So like for go no go, the first signal, let's say, look at the top of this chart, right? The first signals are those go counter trend correction icons that tell us that the market may struggle to go higher in the short term. We
Mhm.
get the go no go trend indicator painting aqua bars showing us the trend is weakened. Then we get the oscillator failing to find support at zero. Then we get the amber bar. Then we get the no go. So like at this point, if you're not out of the stock, you've had like 3 or 4 or 5
Yeah.
teaching moments, and I think that you can use it how you want, but just to be disciplined is good advice.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is the chart of Reddit someone was asking for, and it looks like they've been trending really good for a long time here. But
Yeah.
as you said, um, looks like the trend tends to be failing right here.
Yeah, we got big
Going,
gap support though. Again, doing the traditional analysis, looking back at that,
yeah,
there's some support back there. So we're in a no go until something happens. But if we can stay above that gap, then there's hope for a change in trend at least.
for sure. Yeah, it could
Yeah.
rebuild itself.
Yeah.
Could rebuild itself for sure. Oh, cool.
All right.
Yeah, I guess that'll probably do it here. I really appreciate you coming on, Alex. That was a very useful, very informative, pretty live stream there. I learned a ton. I'm sure the audience learned a ton. It was great to see your thought process. Just pulling up charts and seeing your immediate thoughts is useful in itself. So, yeah, I really appreciate you coming on, sharing your knowledge. And for this awesome indicator. Someone asked too if this indicator is part of the subscription. The standard version is built in. You just won't have the extra, icons on the chart, and the squeeze is not built in. So these ones are separate, but you can use or get a free trial too in the link below if you guys are interested. If you guys haven't subscribed to the channel, go check out GoNoGo. Their website is down below in the description as well. And yeah.
Thanks for having me, Mike. Appreciate it. Anytime I can come on and just let me know.
Yeah, we'll do. We'll probably have you on again. We go live for, big events. So we'll definitely hit you up again. It was great having you.
Thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Have a good one. My real life show real quick. Can you look through loading the oscillator on chart, having trouble? What do you mean loading? Like actually getting it up there? You should just be able to type it up here and just click it on right there if you're on TrendSpider. And or it's actually the squeeze. Yeah, gonna go squeeze. If you have any other questions, we do have an amazing customer support team. You can just click the contact us button right here, drop them a message, and they should be able to help you out very easily. Yeah, hit up our support. They'll be able to help you out, directly one-on-one. I can't, of course, see exactly what you're seeing. So, but yeah, thank you so much, guys, for coming through to this live stream. We're going to be live again for AMAT earnings here on Thursday, so definitely tune in for that. But yeah, other than that, I'll catch you guys in the next one on Thursday, and make sure to like and subscribe if you guys haven't already. All right, have a good one, y'all.